Believe it or not, I am actually a gamer. I know, I just totally blew y'all's minds. But, seeing as I've been playing video games for, my gosh, over 10 years now, I've, of course, collected plenty of stories from my gaming experience. So, let's share some. Hey, what's going on, geeks? Maxusthebeast is here, and welcome back to Storytime. Now, as suggested, today I'm talking about some crazy stuff that's happened to me while playing video games, and some memories I've had playing different games as well. So, let's start off. Like I said, I've been playing games for a long time, since I was a really little kid, right? And when I was around 6 or 7, I wasn't really good at playing really linear games, right? I struggled with beating levels by myself, and I would often enlist the help of friends to actually progress me in the game. And one such occasion was with the game Ben 10. I forget the name of the game exactly, but it was a Ben 10 game for the Wii. It was a pretty long game, and I remember having a lot of fun with it as a kid. I might try to find it again someday and replay it and see if it was as good as I remembered it. But I just, for the life of me, couldn't figure out how to get past the 3rd or 4th level. Right? It was, for some reason, really hard for me. So one day, at the time, my babysitter comes over, and he too played a lot of Wii games. So we load up the game, and we go through that level, and he was able to beat it because he's played through the game before. And that day, the two of us took turns, but we were able to beat the entirety of the game. And interestingly, after that, I could replay the game exactly, all the previous levels and everything, and I'd be able to do just fine. I'd be able to complete them no problem. But for some reason, I just couldn't do it without help the first time. If I could get help the first playthrough, I'd be fine, and I'd be able to pick it up again in the next playthrough and still be able to complete the level. I don't really know, but this kind of happened continuously for a long time. I remember having help playing through some challenges on the game Star Wars: The Clone Wars lightsaber duels on the Wii. Also having help with some Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation 2. And, you know, things like that. I had issues as a kid with level-based games. But which each time, after I'd watch my sitter or my friend go through it, I could play it back and do just fine. But I remember the first game I ever was able to complete without any assistance whatsoever was, for some reason, the Munchables on the Wii. If you don't know, it's like this game where you're this weird monster thing, and you're supposed to eat a bunch of monsters that are themed after food. So picture a more violent VeggieTales. But I was able to complete that by myself, and I felt a huge sense of accomplishment after doing so, because I felt like, oh my gosh, this was all me. I didn't have anybody helping me with that. There was no third party playing for me. That was me. I beat this game. And then after that was really when I started breaking the whole, oh, I can't play games by myself and I can't beat them by myself, I need help kind of mentality. And that weird, I guess, habit was broken. From then on out, I started playing games by myself all the time, as far as single-player games went, and I was able to complete them. So, I don't know what the reason was behind. Maybe it's because I was young. Maybe it's because I just didn't know what to do. I don't know. But, hey, at least that issue's fixed now. This game right here. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, PS2. I have got an emulator on my PC that allows me to play it here. but for some reason I can't edit resolution, so apologies for the black bars. Anyway, this game in particular has a major history with me. It was my first Star Wars game, and it was the second or third game I was able to complete on my own. Granted, I took turns with a couple friends while playing through some of the levels, but the majority of the progress was by me, and I made sure to go back and play through these levels by myself, just so I can prove to myself I can do this without friends helping me. But a specific memory I had with this game was kind of a sad one for me. I remember when I was in 3rd grade was when I really got into this game. And every day after I come home from school, regardless that I've already beaten the game several times, it was my favorite game as a kid. And it still holds out pretty well today. But I would come home from school and I'd play through the campaign again, and then I would play against AI in lightsaber duel mode. And I had a blast doing so, and it was a way to unwind from the busy day at school. But one day, I went up and started playing the game, and then my mom walks in, followed by my dad. And they both explained how that morning when I was at school, my cat had passed away. And this cat was my best friend. And I loved this cat. I'd spend time with it every day. And I was wondering when I got home where it was, but I just figured that she was in another part of the house. And just was sleeping somewhere or something. But it was sleep, just a different kind. But I remember just breaking down. I had no chair to play the game on. I played on an old VHS TV and just had the PS2 plugged into it. But for the longest time I had no gaming chair or anything to sit in, so I just sat on the floor. I remember just laying back onto the floor and just crying. And I remember the next day at school, you know, the emotions were still raw. And I had my best friend at the time asked about my cat, because he knew how much I like cats. So he asked me, "Hey, how's your cat doing?" And I just broke. I remember my teacher asking me, making sure I was okay, and asking me if I wanted to go to the bathroom to compose myself and to, you know, wipe my nose and such. I declined the offer because I honestly, as a kid, didn't really know why I'd want to go to the bathroom. I just kind of cried whenever. I was a very emotional kid. But yeah, I just remember afterwards I turned off the PS2, and even the day after, the days following, I just couldn't play games. It just hurt me a lot. I remember later that week we got together and we watched Happy Feet as a family, and I was able to sort of enjoy the movie, but you know, my emotions were still what they were, and I was kind of not too happy about watching a movie about animals, especially after I lost one of my own. But this video isn't to devolve into my mental state or whatever, my views on animals or whatnot. So, moving on. Another really historic moment for me was my first time ever playing a Fallout game. You know, interestingly enough, Fallout 4 was my first Fallout game. I first purchased it actually mid-May of 2017. And, you know, at the time I was a major fan of Skyrim, which is kind of the reason why I bought Fallout 4, because I thought, oh cool, it's like a post-apocalyptic Skyrim, just sort of set in the future with laser guns and stuff. And I didn't really have a really appreciation for the story or anything. I just kind of wanted to play like I played Skyrim. At the time, I didn't really care about storylines or characters or whatever. I just wanted a big open world to explore. And to blow some stuff up and to explore, like I said, a big open world. And I thought, oh, having guns and stuff in a post-apocalyptic world, I thought, oh, this would be kind of fun. And for the first little bit, I played it like I played Skyrim. I just kind of went all over the place, looked around. I did the basic storyline quests, like, oh, you leave Vault 111, then you move down into Concord, and you free the Minutemen, and that kind of thing. And I unknowingly just kind of joined up the Minutemen because I didn't really know what to do. I thought that was what I was supposed to do. So I joined the Minutemen. I did a couple of their Radiant quests, like, oh, go talk to the settlement because they need help, sort of thing. But after I completed those basic quests, I just kind of went out. I didn't care about leveling up. I just kind of explored, shot up ghouls and random bugs and stuff. But like I said, kind of strayed away from the main quest. But then I needed some space to install other games on my computer. So I deleted Fallout 4, not really thinking that much about it. Because I enjoyed the game, but I wasn't too invested into it, so I didn't really feel that attached to it. So deleting it wasn't really that big of an issue for me. And it stayed deleted for a long time. But then I stumbled upon a YouTuber named Oxhorn, who specializes in Fallout lore videos. And just watching a few of these videos just fascinated me with the world of Fallout. And the videos I was watching were specifically on Fallout New Vegas. So, being curious, I invested the money into purchasing New Vegas on Steam. This is mid-summer of last year. Interestingly, around the time I started recording, or I recorded the Maxusthebeast on the internet talking about Fallout. But I was interested now. I was invested in the lore, and I was interested in seeing what would happen. So I got into Fallout New Vegas. I enjoyed it a lot. And then because I was enjoying Fallout again, I invested in Fallout 4. Or at least in reinstalling it. In fact, I think I made like a reference to the fact that I was installing it in that video. So, this, from here on out, sparked a love of Fallout. To the point where now I have 115 hours in Fallout 4. I have a little over 20 in New Vegas, and I'm approaching 10 in Fallout 3. I know these are the numbers for New Vegas and 3 are very small, but I'm still working through those. After all, after I got back into Fallout 4, I just binged it. I no-lifed this game for the longest time, and I still will jump on for different playthroughs. I recently started an Institute playthrough, working on that. I started a Brotherhood of Steel playthrough. Still have yet to do Railroad and Nuka World, but we'll get there in time. But from here on out, I've started to really enjoy playing post-apocalyptic games that are not so focused on zombies, but are more focused on stories. Which means that I'm also interested in games like the new Metro Exodus and Resident Evil. While maybe not post-apocalyptic, it is apocalyptic. So, I guess it counts. I'm considering getting the Resi 2 remaster. Let me know in the comment section if if it's any good. I've heard good things about it, but you never know. So anyway, Fallout 4. You know, I've been asked by friends recently what my favorite game is. And it would come to no surprise to any of you that Subnautica has become one of my most favorite games of all time, and currently stands as my favorite game. Yeah, I know I just sort of crushed all over Fallout 4, saying how much I loved it, but Subnautica just really takes the cake for a game that I've just truly fallen head over heels with. I've played since December 2016. So that means I've been playing a little over 2 years. And my 230 some hours prove that. And the first 40 or so were played on my old Mac at a whopping 11 frames per second, but I still loved it to death. In fact, I actually installed the game, or bought the game on my old Mac, November, December of 2014. Because I thought it looked interesting, and a YouTuber I watched at the time, Paul Soares Jr., had started a miniature Let's Play on it. Of course, back in 2014, the game was barely even out the womb, so it was fresh meat, and there wasn't that much really to do. There was like fragments worked differently. You had to like make a separate scanner box that you put down in your life pod or in your bases, and then you'd cram in fragments into it, and that's how you learn the recipes. There was no handheld scanner. You just put that in this box and you start throwing stuff into it. And that's how that worked. There were no Leviathans in 2014. It was just really the only hostile creatures were the occasional like sand shark and biters and stuff. And crashfish. But there was no Reaper Leviathan, there was no Sea Dragon, and the Emperor, I believe, for the longest time, but I believe it back in 2015, the Emperor became spawnable, but it didn't have any animations, it just kind of floated around. But when I installed it, Subnautica, back in 2014, my computer could not handle it whatsoever. It ran like 3 frames per second. And I wasn't going to put up with that, as 2014 was the year I discovered Steam. I've been a member of Steam for 5 years now. And I was used to playing games on my Mac like Starbound, not Terraria, because that wasn't out on Mac yet, but Starbound, Minecraft, not on Steam, Craft the World, and games like that weren't that graphically requiring, but I still had a blast with. And seeing as a 2013 Mac isn't really built to play games as graphically requiring as Subnautica, and in very early access, Subnautica was, let's just say, the opposite of the word optimized. So, even on good PCs, it still had some severe frame issues. And throughout early access, it still did. But in 2014, it struggled to run on good computers. So, it running on a Mac was an impossible feat for my 2013 laptop. So, I ditched it. I deleted Subnautica. But then in 2016, I stumbled upon videos by Jacksepticeye and 8-Bit Ryan, which inspired me to play the game again, because I saw how much content was added to it. I try to avoid spoiling myself of like story-wide stuff, and I did that. I was able to do that. So when I jumped into the game for the first time in 2016, being able to play through, actual decent gameplay at that point, with actual content and some meat to it, I had a blast. And although the game was now sort of playable on Mac, it didn't run great. Like I said, it ran like at max like 11 to 15 frames. And if I was lucky in areas like the safe shallows, maybe 20. But that still wasn't good. But it was now at the point where it was actually playable and I could actually enjoy my time with it. And like I said, to the point where I played not 200 hours on the Mac, but 40 some hours on the Mac. I had a blast. And then when I got my PC in 2017, my actual good gaming PC, which has had several upgrades since then, just gonna say, I got the Subnautica was the first game I installed because I was so hyped to play it on a PC that could handle it. And let me tell you, my first time experience with it on the good PC did not disappoint me. So yeah, that's my story with Subnautica. Oh, and of course, the rest you know is history. April I started the Let's Play. It's still going on. I just haven't done anything with it, I'm sorry. But I'll get to doing that in the near future. And that is Subnautica for you. And at long last, I'm going to tell the story of my first time playing a video game. My first time receiving a gaming system. I think it would be a good idea to end off where it all started. When I was 5, my family took a trip into North Carolina. And we were going to spend some time in the mountains. My grandparents were going to meet us down there. And we were going to spend a few days in a log cabin in the mountains. And that trip was a lot of fun. But to get to specific destinations, there was going to be long periods of driving. And at the time, I was a well-behaved kid, but if I had to sit in a car for several hours with literally nothing to do, I got bored pretty easily. So, my mom had done her research before going onto the trip about things like the Nintendo DS, for example. And I had seen people at school with the DS, and I was really envious of them. I really wanted a DS of myself, all to my own. And Mom had done the research, and she wanted to avoid games that had violence or whatever, because of course I was 5, I shouldn't really be exposed to people killing each other yet. But she went into Walmart. We stopped on the way into North Carolina, and we stopped at a Walmart. Mom didn't take me in. I just kind of sat in the car with my dad. But some time goes by and she comes back, and she has a bag with her. And then she looks at my dad. She said, "Should we give it to him now?" He's like, "Go ahead." I think her original plan was to wait until we got to the cabin, but when she realized how much driving we still had yet to do, she decided against holding off. So, she hands me a box. And on the box, at age 5 I couldn't read, but I could see the picture and I knew what it was. And I was super excited. And along with the DS itself, she passed me 2 smaller boxes. Game boxes. And since I couldn't read, I asked her what they were. Carnival Games, DS, and Nintendogs. And I was stoked. I instantly turned the thing on, set it up. I'll get one of my parents to set it up for me. And then I started playing Carnival Games all the way there. I remember afterwards I asked if we could get some more games for it. And we located a GameStop in North Carolina close to where we were staying. So we went down to the GameStop and I got Super Mario Brothers on the DS. Which was really exciting for me. And after that, I asked for the upcoming DSs over the years, like the DSi and the 3DS and the 3DS XL. I still will occasionally jump on the 3DS XL and play games like Smash Bros. And stuff, but I have yet to get a Switch, so I still have yet to play the new Smash. Heard it's really good, though. But that is how I got into gaming itself. You know, I actually had a Game Boy beforehand, but I only had one game for it, which was a Crash Bandicoot game. And over the years, I got more for it. But that was my first time ever receiving a game console like that for myself. And after that, we got a Wii in the mail for Christmas. Or it might not have been for Christmas, it might have been for something else. I don't exactly remember the purpose of getting the Wii, but we got it. But, so anyway, guys, those are my stories of gaming. I hope you enjoyed. And, like I said, leave comments based on, you know, stuff like what you thought and things like that. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And this week, quick heads up. I know I said this when Ash came out, but there is a new character being released on Monday. So, this week I'm going to be playing Overwatch again, getting back into it, so I can share with you the new hero. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching, and as always, Maxusthebeast is out.